events. I can see Jeevan joining us from around Munich in Germany. Jeevan, you were meant to be with us as one of the panelists, but we missed you because you were not well. Would you like to share?
Put on your video and share with us.
Sorry, I'm sitting in an hospital, so I cannot talk too much. But still, I want to tell you that I am practicing in Germany, and the people are really appreciated the Gurukula style of teaching education. But mostly 90% of the courses here in Germany or something is more what you call opposite to the real principles of Ayurveda. So I completely agree with Prasad ji, and also in Coimbatore, recently we had a meeting that to retake this Gurukula model of system again. Krishna Kumar ji was making with us with several students of Ayurveda in Coimbatore. I hope it will work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeevan. I want to add here that Jeevan was one of the students that came out of the Gurukul system established by Krishna Kumarji, where students stayed in the forests and they learned Ayurveda in the forests around Coimbatore. So Jeevan is one of those students who came out of that system. Thank you, Jeevan, for being with us. As we move down the list, Bhaspati, how are we for time? Are we all right?
I think we should finish in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. There are so many. I want to bring Selvan Sentangal. Selvan, are you with us?
Yes.
Selvan, welcome. Selvan is coming to us from Bethesda, from Maryland, Bethesda. Selvan, hello. Selvan is a PhD in biochemistry, and he has worked in the recent years on IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and using yoga as an intervention for irritable bowel syndrome. He's published on that. And more recently, he has been working on Siddha systems of medicine. And his great-grandfather and grandfather were all Siddha Vaidyas from Tamil Nadu. And more recently, he has been interested in Varmakalai, Marma Chikitsa, as in Kerala. Selvan, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning to everyone. I think it's a wonderful sessions listening to all the panelists. And then what I want to share a few thoughts there it is, I understand that everybody talks about Ayurveda and need to be learned from the original form and original concept and other thing. And if you want to take it, my one of the thoughts I would like to share it is, if you want to take it globally, a lot of time we think it's a great science and everybody should accept that. I think that is not the way you should go. I'll tell you my own example. That's what I want to share here. Even about Darshanji talked about food and other principles to be applied from Ayurvedic way. Sometimes it's in a practical way, it is very challenging. And I'll tell you my own example. You name any disorder, I had it. It's called lifestyle. But I overcome not through any medication, any Ayurveda preparation, any Siddha preparation, just purely changing my lifestyle and practicing yoga. And through which I become normalized now. I'm 65, but I feel like I'm only 25 physiologically. Through overcoming diabetes, hypertension, heart blockage, you name anything. I had arthritis issue, all the sleep apnea, everything overcome. And that is the part what I'm trying to say here. It is based on the challenge, the lifestyle which I have in living in US. I cannot adapt to the way strict guideline about doing things. The second point I don't want much time here. regarding that yoga therapy for IBS, which I conducted a clinical research in a yoga naive people, that is Mexican. And what people thought that I should also, of course, the food is very important to adapt to when you want to heal yourself. But I don't want to, because Mexicans population, we cannot go and tell them what should they eat. Already they are poor people. But I want to approach whether yoga alone can modify and then bring a remedy to the IBS. I clearly demonstrated in my publication, as Madan mentioned, just to practicing yoga itself can bring changes to you. And what is important to say here it is how you live through the lifestyle, and in a modern, wherever you live, that need to change, what through the mind, that is going to help. But that's the thought process I want to share is, and as a summary, when we are trying to apply certain things, we have to understand that context space. It is like simple analogy I would like to give a last point. Take communism. Communism is a very good principles. But the problem is when you fail is because they try to apply the communism without understanding the local issue, local problem. That same way Ayurveda, in my mind, practices trying to apply. I think that is not going to work. That is not going to be acceptable. It's not going to be successful. That's the thought process I want to share. Thank you for the opportunity, Madan. It is a beautiful dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Selvan. Thank you so much. You have given us, I forgot to mention that Selvan has used yoga as intervention to control many complex problems that he listed. So he's a living example of how yoga can benefit him. I have Neelam ji, who is joining us from Austria, Vienna in Austria. Neelam ji, can you hear us? Neelam ji? Neelam is located at the Indian Embassy in Austria, and she has been deputed to be the yoga teacher in the embassy. And I wanted to show how we can network. We are already networking here, but even within the subdisciplines. So Neelam ji in Vienna and Galia in Lima, working with a certain population, some of which is represented in the population that Selvan handles in America. There is opportunity for coming together again, which we will do. We will come together again. And running through this list here, so many lovely people. I want to bring in VVSN Rauji. If Rauji, can you hear us?
Namaskaram, Madan Garu.
Rauji, we are so happy to have you with us. Please tell the audience in a few words about yourself, your connection with sports and activity, and what you have done in rural India in terms of sports, and how.
Thank you. But today's context, I would like to submit that being in sports, I have explored all the alternate medicines, including I have done advanced course from Bihar School of Yoga, then all the meditation centers to develop the concentration for my archers, and then Dr. Asmita has taken the name of Dr. Tanuja Nesari. I worked very closely with her to bring Ayurveda in our sports. And she was kind enough, and Ayush Ministry was kind enough to set up a separate department of Ayurveda for sports medicine in All India Institute of Ayurveda at Sarita Vihar, New Delhi. But unfortunately, sports fraternity was a little reluctant to accept Ayurveda as an alternate medication. There were two aspects. One is for intaking any medicine, Ayurveda medicine, which they are very much afraid of coming into the dope. And Japan and China has taken exemption from WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency, for ginseng, use of ginseng. And why can't India take exemption for consumption of ashwagandha and other Ayurvedic medicines? So that was the argument, but somehow or other Sports Authority of India and Ministry of Sports was not very keen to accept Ayurveda. But you see, Myanmar of Brazil, the world football champion, he has showed his confidence in Kerala Ayurveda system, and when his spinal cord was injured and he was bedridden, he got treated through Ayurveda only. So I was insisting to the Sports Authority of India and Ministry of Sports to accept Ayurveda for at least for trauma management, if not medicines. So some or other, and Ayurveda, Ayush Mantralaya has already established for trauma management, that's Panchakarma and other things, Maram massage. And on my request, they are bringing the Kalari Chikitsa also. And now keeping in view the excellent experience in treating our sports injuries, I requested one foundation in Mathura to set up a yoga, Ayurveda and naturopathy center, and they were very kind enough to accept my proposal. And I have written on the chat box also that we would be establishing, and we are seeking Dr. Madan Thangavelu-ji's kind attention, kind advice and support and patronage and mentorship for setting up this international Vedic wellness center. And my association with Kalari is very old, and I was interested in Kalari not because of my own physical fitness, but for the Kalari Chikitsa. I have seen miraculous treatment, the broken bones, injuries, cuts, veins, they all treat through Kalari Chikitsa. So with that, I am still, though I am in Sydney, but I am working, I am taking this opportunity of lockdown and setting up, trying to work on. And tomorrow I would request Dr. Madan Thangavelu to kindly join us in our weekly review meeting tomorrow at Indian Standard Time 1:30. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much.
Rauji,
for
thank you
this
so much.
invitation.
Thank you so much for joining us from Melbourne. We have Narayan Nambi with us. I don't know if Nambiji is still with us or he has left us. I want to bring in somebody who's joining us from South Africa, somewhere in Botswana. And I want to see if Jairam ji will say a few words. Jairam is connected with the Ayush Valley. Jairam ji, if you have something to add to this discussions, and we are lucky to have you here with us, joining us from South Botswana. Jairam ji.
He was just here, and I think he might have just dropped out for a moment. Let's see if he comes back.
Neelam ji is here. Neelam ji, namaskar. No, Neelam ji is not here. Could I bring in, I want to bring in Vinayak Sathe. Vinayak ji is based in the Silicon Valley.
Madan, Neelam has unmuted her mic now. I think she might
Neelam,
be available.
Neelam ji.
Namaskar. Namaskar, Madan sir. Namaskar to all.
Neelam ji, I'm assuming you are still based in Vienna?
Actually, I came back now in India now.
Okay. Tell us a little bit, in a few words, about your wonderful experience in Vienna.
Actually, that's really, it's a wonderful experience for me. And I will go for the Prasad sir views. That's when I was working over there, I've experienced this, that we need to give the holistic approach, and fusion therapy, it's needed nowadays in a global manner. If we think about the globally treatment about, so we need to go with the fusion therapy. This is my experience. Yes, of course, that person mentioned that yoga, if we inculcate yoga in our life, we can treat all these things. That is a preventive aspect. But some person can't do yoga, they can't do some asanas and all. Definitely they need Ayurveda and different therapies. So my experience, because I'm always dealing with the public, so as my public opinion is we should go for the holistic approach. And the mainly I have faced that there's no treatment that people are really facing the pathological, that's how they actually they know the treatment, or the yoga trainers, Ayurvedachara, they don't know all the treatments, but they don't know how to diagnose. Diagnostic aspect is actually that we need to work on that.
Thank you.
Hope,
So
are you agree with this?
we have so many yoga experts with us. Neelamji, I hope you will join us again in our next few events, where we will have a few events concentrating on yoga. I hope you will join us and share some of your experiences from Austria. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to, Vinayakji.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for being with us. Please.
Yeah,
Vinayakji,
so I will not.
Vinayakji is located in, most times located in the Silicon Valley and Cupertino, I think, and sometimes he spends time in Pune. And he's also one of the founding directors of something called the Global Classrooms Foundation. Vinayakji, please.
Namaskar, Madanji, thank you for giving this opportunity. It's a wonderful webinar. I've been listening through, and so many pioneers and thought leaders, they have given their point of view. Next the webinar, I feel is a more interactive, will be helpful. Like Dr. Basavati mentioned, that we have to square up each other and discuss. So for my thoughts, I have been in US and I have joined something called Ayurveda College, which gives that consular degree. Dr. Jaya Apte runs that there, and it's an informal way that you can get into Ayurveda. But here, Dr. Darshanji, Vaidya Darshanji has mentioned about the thought, Ayurveda as the thought and logic. That is very interesting part, and I think we should introduce that from the right from childhood, early childhood, to the all the kids, children across the world. And that's why I feel that education, the jnana, with the knowledge, from mother to teacher to the professor in schools, but the self-knowledge, the Ayurveda actually give that perspective, and I would like that to spread this knowledge of the Ayurveda as a thought and logic, so that we can transform and we can create the people with good hearts, and also the actions, vision, passion, actions are aligned for the humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinayakji. Thank you so much. We will connect again, and we'll bring you onto some of our other platforms. I have Shantala Priyadarshini joining us from Mysore. Shantala ji. Shantala?
You were unmuted and you just got muted again. Can you unmute yourself again? Shantala ji? Can one of the co-hosts help?
Shantala, hello.
She has gotten muted again. Someone needs to unmute her.
Okay, while we sort this out, I have somebody, Ashwini Konur. Ashwini is a very special person. Ashwini comes to us having trained in Ayurveda, yoga, and much more. And Ashwini runs her own center in Bengaluru. Ashwini, can you hear us? Hello, Ashwini. Ashwini, no, can't hear.
Her mute is off, but I think she's not got her microphone set up.
So many more people here with us.
Ashwini? No. And what about Shantala? I think you were trying to get Shantala also. Both of them have tried to come on.
Unmute.
Okay.
you know,
Not much luck here.
um,
Vinayak has his hand raised. Vinayak, I hope we've answered your question. You've got your hand raised on the...
okay, all the hands. There we are.
Okay.
Uh,
So Madan, I think we need to finish. It's been 3 hours and it's a good time for us to...
I will leave it to you, Baswati, to round off. And maybe will you give me a chance to say what I have learned out of this 3-hour session?
Please.
The challenge was along the lines of a one-word essay or a 3-word essay. And I think we set up a very simple challenge of a 3-word essay. And Ayurveda, Freedom for Ayurveda. And it helped us explore some of the difficulties. And what came through from our learned panelists is a greater clarity in that challenge. This is still a challenge. And what is coming through, at least in my mind, is Ayurveda is still trapped somewhere. It is a system, one of the oldest systems of medicine, health and well-being. It originated in our lands. The epistemological foundations were set out by the philosophies that that also came out of the land, the way we understood what Darshan ji mentioned about understanding it through the connections with the environment, the Panjabhutas. And these are all calls being made across the global community. So the United Nations is asking about respecting the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. When you look at it, it is nothing other than the principles enshrined in Ayurveda and derived from our tattvas. Somehow we are not able to occupy those positions where we can add to the debate. I don't know what the reason for this. We are not able to reach those positions where the debate is to happen and where we can present the voice. I feel, whatever the reasons, the Ayush Valley Foundation will make it a point to be a loud voice wherever these comments need to be made. And we will get feedback from all the community so that we articulate our position as coherently and as incisively and as completely as possible. And we will try and do this through meetings of this kind, where we will bring in the community and we will bring in the voices from the community, from not just in India, but from around the world. And we will turn that into coherent statements and try to shape new thinking in locations where we feel the thinking that should happen is not happening. There are places where we need clarity, which we don't see coming through for whatever reason. We don't have to worry about the reason. But as a group here, as a community here, the Valley will take on the responsibility of putting out concrete ideas and structuring thoughts correctly, like Vaidya, what Vaidya Prasad offered us today. People who have seen how the benefits in the community. So I leave it there. I thank
Madan,
everybody.
let's have a quick discussion on this, because you and I spend hours and hours every week talking about this. One of the issues that needs to be fostered, which is very teachable, is to have people learn how to debate. When I speak with young graduates, whether they are young in mind or they are young in chronologic age, they say that they have so much to say, but they don't know how to articulate it. One of the reasons is that the schooling does not encourage people to A, learn how to articulate and debate the art of tarka, right? Tarka has many rules so that it's respectful to the self, respectful to others, that it's powerful in rebuttal, but is neither aggressive nor violent, and yet is very sharp. How to be tikshna and mridu at the same time. That art is something that we can help host, because you from your PhD at Cambridge, me from my training at Harvard and BHU and Penn, we have learned how to articulate. That's one. Second is to know what's going on. I am appalled when I see people unaware of the website of Ayush, the website of RAV, the website of TKDL. All that information is out in the public. And here are these masters of Ayurveda students or graduates who are not even aware of what's going on. That awareness is step one of becoming a master. And yet when people get a master's in Ayurveda, they don't understand what being a master of the information that is available in the universe right now means. How can you make a step forward that's inclusive if you don't know what's going on? Some of that is propagated by the little fiefdoms that we have. And I just want to put it on record that this is something we need to break down, because I speak to students that say, I can't talk to you because you're from BHU and I'm from Jaipur, or I'm from Jamnagar, or I'm from SDM, and there's a competition. Why is there a competition like that? So that's another thing that we learn in the West, that no matter what institution we've gone to, we should have a healthy affiliation to move the discipline forward. And another is that there needs to be a responsibility. So Professor Jha, my mentor, has said to me that once we become masters or PhD, it is our job ethically to uphold the discipline and the science and to take it forward. Not to make sure that we have a job, not to make sure that our own bucket is full and push others out, but to make sure that the discipline goes forward. And if we can teach these kind of things, I think these are actually some of the roots of the problems that we didn't discuss today. What I would love to do is see if there are any BAMS students who would like to articulate, because we do have a tendency to acknowledge people that come from other countries. And I would love to have us hear from the students who are the consumers, or are the sufferers, or are the future of the Ayurvedic profession. So if there is someone, Madan, could you call on them before we end and include them?
Thank you, Bhaswati. There could well be many. My apologies, because I identified names here on the list.
Well, I think Dr. Pooja Patil is a student, and she says, I would like to say something. So I don't know how to activate her, but...
allowing Pooja, can you...
Yeah, there she is.
Yes.
Hi, Pooja.
Hello.
Could you introduce yourself and tell us what you think about today's discussion and maybe give some feedback, please?
Yes, I'm last year student from Kolhapur. So today's session was excellent. You all motivated me so much. Thank you so much. And as an Ayurveda student, I want to say that every student who enters in the first year or first BMS, he also should focus on Ayurveda part the most, right? Because we are not doing MBBS, right? We are studying BAMS, Ayurveda. So I think we should have curiosity that what our acharyas like Charak, Shushruta saying us in Sanhitas, right? They are not saying that we should only recite some kalpas for some particular disease, right? You should follow what you want to do, what you want to learn from any topics, or be curious what are you want to learn from any topic, or from adhyayas, what are they telling us from Sanhitas. So do research. First, be curious, love Ayurveda, and like Ayurveda is a branch, like one branch, and it is a brand. Ayurveda is a brand. So don't ignore Ayurveda because of modern science or any modern topic, like as I did from last 3 years, and I regret it. But now focusing on Ayurveda only. And
Pooja, we're having some difficulty hearing you.
Ayurveda part to teach students.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Pooja. Madan, can we call on Shantala? I don't know Shantala personally.
Shantala is Shantala. Can you hear?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Oh, Shantala, thank you so much. If Shantala, people are curious who you are. Now, I can let you introduce yourself, or would you like me to say a few words? Let me say a few words. Shantala is based in Mysore. She's professor of one of the Ayurveda colleges in Mysore. Shantala will tell us more. But what is more interesting is that she is a master's in Sanskrit, and she is also a master's in environmental sciences. And we are very, very happy to have you with us, Shankar. Please tell us a little more about what you gained from today's, and also a little bit more about where you are. You are also a practitioner, you have your own practice, so you do everything that we wish to see in Ayurveda.
And some feedback for today's session.
It was marvelous. As I had already put across on the chat, bringing all the people all around the world is what is Ayurveda all about. So you have stood for what Ayurveda is really going to be and is. So thanks will be a very small word. It is insufficient to express what I thought about the program, though I could not be there with you from the beginning, which I would have. Can I get the recording of your program?
Certainly.
I don't know.
Yes, it will be on the website as soon
Good,
as.
good. So nice.
We're very happy, Shantala, you are with us. Shantala has published a paper on rasayanas and using Drosophila as an experimental model to understand some specific rasayanas. This was work that was done with a collaborator, Dr. Asha, at the University of Mysore, and this is published in the Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine some time back. Shantala, we look forward to having you with us in future meetings, and
that would be my pleasure.
Very, very happy that you have joined us today. There are many people here in this group who would like to connect with you. So if you can send your contact details on the chat, then they will all know who you are and where you are. Thank you so much for being with us. There are a few more people here with us.
But Madam, we need to finish soon because I have patients and I got to see patients tonight.
Paswati, I leave it with you. So from my side, I thank everybody for being with us. We've recorded this event post the place where we finished our formal session, and our interactions have all been recorded. They will be online. So it will be a challenge for the editors. They normally edit this into small pieces to put it on the website. I don't know how Ayush Valley will do it, but there it is. A challenge is always good. Thank you so much.
And since you are thanking everyone, I want to thank you for putting this together, for having the ideas that you do, for having an immense repository of different disciplines. And I just want to highlight for the students and for the practitioners that Madan is one of those people that while he has a master's in one subject and a PhD in another subject, and he's been acknowledged as a person who understands agriculture as well as molecular biology and has worked on the DNA of animals as well as the DNA of plants, which is actually quite unusual, and understands not only biomedical, very intricate molecular biology, but has also been studying Sankhya and has understood Ayurveda from the Padartha, one of the padas of the Vijnan. Madan is one of the people that is constantly curious, constantly networking to bridge people of different fields together. So when we say integrative medicine or fusion therapy or any of these subjects that talk about bringing people from different disciplines together, he's not saying that we should bastardize, hybridize, or mutantize any of the sciences. He's saying there is a place, there's a Venn diagram where there's that overlap, but there is a place where we can be absolutely pure in our subject, but find a language with which we can communicate the purity of our particular science seamlessly, as the ancient scientists did, with other disciplines. This idea of a discipline is actually, it's an artifact of the modern feudalistic society, because as you know, in ancient sciences, all the sciences were just one large mass. You started in one place and you grew and grew and grew. And that in modern day is called a polymath. And our Dr. Madan Thangavelu is a polymath. So I want to thank you for using your polymathic abilities to bring together this wide number of people and utilizing wonderful people like Benny Thomas and the others who have participated to create what today is actually a discussion that's a true panel discussion. It's putting people with uncomfortable, opposing views right next to each other and challenging all of us to evolve and grow our own thoughts, so that even though we're attached to one view, we can respect the other people in the community who have a diametrically opposed view and move all of us together. So Madan, thank you for that.
Namaste. Thank you, Baswati. So thanks to everybody for being with us. And we look forward to having all of you and many more with us in sessions to come. In the meanwhile, in my mind, one outcome that has come through is the need for a slightly extended debate and discussion on the points that our three panelists suggested, particularly the point that Darshan ji was pressing on about centers of excellence, innovating in Ayurvedic education and research, and to give institutions the freedom to develop. That will come up, I hope, as a special 1 or 2 or 3 day series of events from the Ayush Valley. I will discuss with our team and enable this, together with all the institutions that are from around the world, the ones who are here today, and hopefully many more. And we will try and do this as quickly as possible. So, with those few words, I say thank you very much. Namaste, and wish you a lovely Saturday wherever you are. Greetings to all of you from the Ayush Valley. Please do visit our website. It is still a very early beta version, but you can access, you can see things. Do share your comments on how we can improve whatever the Valley has to offer. Thank you so much. Namaste. Namaste. I see Thomas is here from...
Dr. Madan.
Benny, thank you.
Yes,
so much.
thank you so much. It was a very interesting session today.
Yeah, Benny, I don't know how we will archive this, but it was really exciting because we touched on some very important points and some very difficult points, you know, and I think we are very happy that Baswati ji was there with us to press the speakers to address some of the difficult areas. And I still feel Ayurveda is lacking the freedom it should have. And Benny, when we connect next time, we will try and see how to make this into a slightly extended format for our meeting.
We can for a part 2 of this same topic, on this topic.
Exactly. And then together I will discuss with Darshan ji so that Transdisciplinary University can be a partner. We will discuss with Valdis Pirag from Latvia to be a partner in this. And then we will put together, you know, maybe 4 one-day meetings so that we can capture all these points and give people a little more time. But what we have done today, I think is so exciting, Benny. So yes. Thank you so much.
Even Dr. Bala Prasad, he made a suggestion that somebody should be from Ayush.
Ayush, exactly.
Then we can, you know, invite somebody from Ayush also, so that we can get the views of governments or the department.
Absolutely, Benny. And I feel if we structure this correctly and we use what is the material we have captured today, then we can make such a wonderful program And hopefully the ministry will join us, because if they are curious about these kind of comments, they must be part of this. Both the central ministry of Ayush and perhaps also the state ministry, because there are some very deep comments being made by Prasad ji saying, you know, we are the home of Ayurveda. Here in Kerala, we are having difficulties with COVID treatment, etc., etc. And that evidence needs to be looked at more closely. And I think, as Darshan ji says, people squash the discussion. You know, they say we don't want to discuss about this, and that is not correct.
Yeah.
Those discussions must happen, and I hope we can be that platform. I hope the Ayush Valley can become that platform, because today's discussions brings out that important need. There is a need here, and we are saying there is a need. This is our first meeting. From this first meeting, we see these needs, and we have distilled a few key points here, and we will say this is the agenda for the next meeting. And I'm so happy, Benny, that we almost, I told Baswati ji yesterday, if we touch 120 participants here on the Zoom platform, then we have done our work.
And in fact, we had a more registration, but only, around 120 people came. But actually, the registration was more, around 225.
No, you see, so we touched the 120 mark, and I am happy with this.
Yeah.
So when we discuss next time, we will raise all these points. I think, Benny, what is nice is this discussion where it was suggested by Asmita ji initially, and then Baswati ji felt the same. And we could make that happen. And we have so many senior people here, you know, Balaprasad ji, Shantala ji is here, and we will bring all these people again so that we have a fuller discussion. Everybody has something to say, and whatever is being offered today are all rich comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Sri Rao ji talking to us from Melbourne in Australia.
Yeah.
And his commentary has so much experience with the sports, going to rural India, identifying young children who are potential sports people, and he has taken them up to very high levels of performance. And Rao Saab was OSD to ministers, and he has seen India, the rural India, you know.
Okay.
And he has so many stories, so many exciting opportunities that we can think about. And we will, maybe we bring in from Trishul, the sports center people, and we bring in some of those people, some of the people from the sports area. And it'll be wonderful, you know, and we can only provide strength to Darshan ji to take on what he is saying. What he is saying is so important. And I think if we come together and help crystallize that idea through these discussions, we keep these discussions going. And when people are talking, the concluding remarks made by Darshan ji, I could feel the energy from here.
Yes.
What he is saying is so clear and so important. And let us capture all this. And I think if we start doing that, we are doing more than what we as a valley, as the philosophy of the valley, it comes through very nicely. So most of all, thanks to all of you there in Shornur, Kochi, and for making these things happen, because it's a lot of work. And as a team, we are doing something that nobody else is doing. And that is so wonderful. So thanks to all of the team there, Benny, you know, working.
Not only the people here, even you had taken a lot of efforts, even Dr. Baswati, and it was very interesting. And we can have, we'll decide about the next one in the next Zoom meeting.
Yes, yes. And we will grow this, you know, lucky to have people like Pooja, the young student from Maharashtra. There are people who will come, more people will join us, and they have all something to say.
Yes.
And we are giving that platform for them to say. And I'm so happy Prasad ji was with us. So clear in his thinking and what he wants. It is wonderful. So wonderful. Wonderful, Benny. So
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Madan. Shall we conclude now? Shall we?
please, I think we still have Vinayakji, bye-bye, Raoji, namaskar, Savitaji, namaskar, Sanjeevan ji, namaskar, Pooja. Thank you so much for joining us. Mahadevan ji, namaskar, Keshav ji, namaskar, Giovanni, coming to us from Utrecht, namaskar, no, from The Hague, namaskar. Galia, thank you so much for your contribution today. Sanjeev ji, thank you so much for being with us. We will come back again and then we will have